Hey everyone, I'm Jitendran. Welcome to my channel where we dive deep into the world of tech and more. If you've been following this Trellix ePO series, you know we've covered installing ePO, backing it up, applying updates, and adding endpoints. And in the upcoming episodes, we're going to start deploying Trellix Endpoint Security ENS to all those managed systems. But before we do that, I want to make sure you have a solid understanding of some core EPO concepts that you'll see referenced constantly in this series and beyond. Specifically, we're going to cover three things today. Number one, the software catalog and main repository, where EPO stores and manages software packages. Number two, extensions, what they are and why they matter before you can do anything with products in EPO. And number three, the policy catalog, EPO's central place for defining how your security products behave. Let's start with the software catalog. The software catalog is EPO's built-in software library. It gives you a centralized view of all the Trellix products and components that are available for your environment. Things like Trellix Endpoint Security modules, the Trellix agent, and any other managed products. Think of it as the App Store for your EPO managed environment. It shows you what's available, what version is current, and what you've already checked in. To find it, go to Menu, then Software, then Software Catalog. Here you can see a list of all available products and their versions. EPO can connect to the Trellix update server to pull in the latest available packages directly from here. Each entry shows the product name, version, and whether it's already been checked in to your main repository. If it hasn't been checked in yet, you'll see an option to do that, which is exactly what we'll look at next. Now, the main repository is closely related but serves a different purpose. While the software catalog is a catalog of what's available, the main repository is the actual storage location inside your EPO server where you keep the packages you want to deploy. When you check in a package, whether it's an ENS installer, a DAT file for signature updates, or an engine update, it gets stored in the main repository. From there, EPO can distribute it to your endpoints. Go to Menu, then Software, then Main Repository. Here you'll see everything that's currently checked in and ready for deployment or distribution. You'll notice entries grouped by product and type, for example, product install packages versus update packages. The main repository is your source of truth for what gets pushed to endpoints. If a package isn't here, EPO can't deploy it. There are two ways to check in a package to the main repository. The first and recommended method is directly through the software catalog. The second is the manual method, where you upload the package file yourself. Let me walk you through both. The software catalog method, this is the easiest and most up-to-date method. The software catalog connects directly to Trellix's cloud servers, so you always see the latest available versions, no manual downloading required. Go to Menu, then Software Catalog. Browse or search for the product you want, for example, Trellix Endpoint Security Threat Prevention. You'll see the available versions listed along with their status. If a package hasn't been checked in yet, you'll see a check-in button next to it. Click that. EPO will connect to the Trellix update servers, download the package, and place it directly into your main repository all in one step. You'll see a confirmation once it's done. That's it. No downloading, no uploading. EPO handles everything. This is the method I recommend for most environments. Informational tip. If your EPO server doesn't have internet access, you'll need the manual method below. In air-gapped environments, you'll download packages from the Trellix Downloads portal on a separate machine and transfer them manually. The manual method is useful when your EPO server doesn't have direct internet access, or when you need to check in a specific package version that you've downloaded separately from the Trellix portal. Go to Menu, then Software, then Main Repository. Click Check-in Package in the top right. You'll be prompted to select the package type, choose Product or Update, depending on what you're checking in. Then browse to the package file on your local machine. This is typically a zip file you've downloaded from the Trellix Downloads portal. Select it and click Next. EPO will validate the package and show you the details, product, name, version, and branch. The branch is typically current, but you can choose Evaluation or Previous if needed. Click Save. The package is now in your main repository and ready to be deployed. One more thing worth knowing. In larger environments, you might also set up distributed repositories. These are secondary copies of the main repository placed closer to remote offices or segments of your network, so endpoints don't all have to pull packages from a central server over a slow link. We won't go into that in this episode, but just know it exists and it's something I'll cover in a dedicated video if there's interest. Drop a comment below if you'd like that. Now, let's talk about extensions. And this is one that trips up a lot of people new to EPO. An extension in ePO is a plugin that adds product-specific management capability to the ePO console. When you install an extension, ePO gains the ability to manage that product. It gets the right menus, policy settings, client tasks, queries, and dashboards for that product. Here's the key thing to understand. Just because a package is in your main repository doesn't mean EPO knows how to manage it. The extension is what teaches EPO how to handle the product. For example, if you want to manage Trellix Endpoint Security threat prevention through EPO, you need two things: the deployment package in the main repository and the ENS threat prevention extension installed in EPO. So the component package in main repository is the actual software installer pushed to endpoints. And the component extension in EPO teaches EPO how to manage that product using policies, tasks, and dashboards. Without the extension, EPO doesn't have the policy settings or client task types for that product. So always install the extension first, then check in the package. Just like packages, extensions can also be installed directly through the software catalog, and this is the recommended approach. It's faster, cleaner, and ensures the extension version always matches what Trellix recommends for your environment. Go to Menu, then Software Catalog. Find the product whose extension you want to install, for example, Trellix Endpoint Security Threat Prevention. Each product listing in the software catalog includes both the deployable package and its corresponding extension. You'll see a column indicating whether the extension is already installed. If it isn't, you'll find a check-in or install option right there. Click it. EPO will download and install the extension automatically. Once complete, you'll notice new menu items, policy categories, and client task types appearing in the console, everything EPO needs to manage that product. You can verify the extension is installed by going to Menu, then Software, then Extensions, where it will now appear in the list with its version and install date. If your EPO server doesn't have internet access, you can still install extensions manually. Download the extension zip file from the Trellix Downloads portal on a separate machine, transfer it to your EPO server, then go to Menu, Software, Extensions, and click Install Extension to upload it. But for most environments with internet access, the software catalog method is the way to go. One important thing to keep in mind: when you upgrade a product, always upgrade its extension first to match the new version. Running mismatched versions between the extension and the package can cause issues with policy deployment and task execution. Alright, now for the policy catalog. This is arguably the most important concept in EPO, because this is where you control how Trellix behaves on every endpoint in your environment. The policy catalog is a central library of configuration policies. Each policy is a named collection of settings for a specific product and category. For example, you might have a policy for Trellix Endpoint Security Threat Prevention that defines your on-access scan settings, exclusion lists, and how to handle detections, or a firewall policy that defines which ports and connections are allowed or blocked. You create your policies once in the catalog and then assign them to systems or groups in the system tree. When an agent checks in, it pulls down the policy and applies it. It's that straightforward and that powerful. Go to Menu, then Policy Catalog. At the top, you'll see a product filter. Select a product, for example, Trellix Endpoint Security Threat Prevention, to see all the policy categories available for that product. You'll see categories like on-access scan, on-demand scan, options, and so on. Each category has its own set of configurable settings. For each category, you'll also notice a My Default policy already exists. This is the baseline policy that Trellix provides, and it's a good starting point. You can duplicate it and customize it rather than building from scratch. Let me show you how to create a policy. Click New Policy next to any category. Give it a descriptive name, something like Workstations Standard Threat Prevention, so you know exactly what it's for and who it targets. Click OK. The Policy Settings editor opens. You can now configure every aspect of that product category: scan targets, sensitivity levels, exclusions, action on detection, and more. Make your changes and click Save. Your new policy is now in the catalog and ready to be assigned. Creating the policy is only half the job. It doesn't do anything until you assign it to systems. Go to the system tree and select a group, for example, your workstations group. Click on the Assign Policies tab. You'll see a row for each product and category. Find the one you want to change, click Edit Assignment, and select the policy you just created. Click Save. The next time agents in that group check in, or after you send a wake-up call, they'll receive and apply the new policy. One last concept worth knowing here is policy inheritance. The system tree is hierarchical: my organization at the top, then groups, then subgroups, all the way down to individual systems. Policies flow down the tree. If you assign a policy at the My Organization level, all groups and systems beneath it inherit that policy, unless a group has its own policy assigned, which overrides the inherited one. This is really powerful for large environments. You can set a baseline policy at the top level and then apply tighter or more specialized policies to specific groups, like servers versus workstations, without having to manage every system individually. So let's quickly recap how these three things connect, because they all work as a chain. The install extension step gives EPO the ability to manage the product, adds policies, tasks, dashboards. The check-in package step puts the installer into the main repository so EPO can deploy it. The deploy via client task step pushes the installer to managed endpoints covered in the next episode. The create and assign policies step tells Trellix products how to behave on those endpoints once installed. Every time you bring a new Trellix product into your EPO environment, this is the workflow. Extension first, package second, deploy third, policies fourth. Once you have this pattern down, managing your environment becomes much more predictable. And that's a wrap on this episode. We covered the software catalog and main repository, where EPO keeps track of available software and stores what's ready to deploy. Extensions, the plugins that give EPO the ability to manage specific products, and why you always install the extension before the package. And the policy catalog, the central place where you define how your security products behave and how policies flow down the system tree through inheritance. These concepts will come up again and again as we get into deploying and managing Trellix Endpoint Security, so I hope this gives you a solid foundation to work from. If this was helpful, give it a like and subscribe, and check the playlist to keep going with the Trellix ePO series. See you in the next one.